What's up, everyone? Ronnie here. Today we're breaking down one of the most emotional, misunderstood, and financially powerful decisions most people will ever make. So, should you rent or should you buy? Because on one side, you've got people saying renting is throwing your money away. On the other side, you've got people saying owning a home is a trap. And the truth, like most things in real finance, is a lot more nuanced than either side wants to admit. Today, we're going to break this down the right way. We're going to learn the real pros of renting, the real cons of renting, the real advantages of buying, the real risks of buying, and most importantly, how long-term wealth is actually created under both paths. And I'm also going to make one thing extremely clear today that almost nobody explains properly. The renting strategy only works if you actually invest and save the difference. If you don't, renting becomes the most expensive long-term housing decision you can make. So let's get into it. Why renting exists at all and why it's not bad. So let's start with something important. Renting is not a failure. Renting is not automatically dumb. Renting is not a character flaw. Renting exists because mobility, flexibility, and low obligation absolutely have real value in the modern economy. According to Zillow, the average renter moves every 2 to 3 years, while the average homeowner stays in one place nearly a decade or more. That flexibility is not accidental. It's the entire point of renting. The real advantages of renting, right there, lower upfront capital. To buy a home, you need a down payment, closing costs, inspections, appraisals, repairs, reserves. And to rent, you usually need first month deposit, maybe last month. That's it. And that's really appealing. It's a lot more attainable to a lot of people. And you've got to see the appeal there, obviously. This allows people to make moves, to leave toxic jobs, move for opportunity, to exit bad relationships, relocate for family, switch cities fast when the economy shifts. No maintenance exposure. If the roof fails, it's not your liability. If the furnace dies, not your bill. If the sewer collapses, not your nightmare. This is trivial. Large capital repairs can wipe out years of savings for homeowners if they're unprepared. Renters don't carry that risk. Predictable short-term housing cost rent is fixed during the lease. That's a good one. There's no surprise tax reassessments, no insurance spikes, no HOA special assessments. Maximum mobility. You can pivot your life fast, and in your 20s and early 30s, this flexibility can be an asset, not a weakness. The hard truth about renting long-term and the dangerous part. Renting is only a powerful short term, right? Long term, renting becomes financially brutal if used without honest discipline. Here's why. Here's the zero equity creation. Every rent payment does exactly one thing. It covers today. It does not build. It doesn't build ownership, leverage, equity, retirement insulation, inflation protection. At the end of your lease, you don't own anything more than, you own nothing more than you did at the beginning, at least, real estate wise. Rent always rises. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, housing inflation has historically outpaced general inflation and wage growth in most U.S. markets. That means your income rises slowly, your rent rises faster. This is why people feel stuck even when their pay goes up. No tax advantages to rent. It's not deductible. It does not depreciate. It's not a 1031 exchange. It doesn't shield your income. You pay taxes on what you earn first. Then you pay rent with what's left. Permanent housing payment risks in retirement, right? That's another one. This is massive. If you rent at 30, you're going to rent at 40. If you rent at 40, you're going to rent at 50. And if you rent at 50, you're going to rent at 70. You never escape housing payments. You only ever escalate them. The critical point most rent versus buy debates ignore is, now listen carefully, there's a very real strategy, right? When you're renting, you can outperform buying, but it only works if you actually invest the difference between rent and ownership every single month. Let me say that again clearly. If you rent cheaper than ownership but do not invest the savings, the renting strategy collapses completely. And this is where most people self-sabotage. They say, oh, I'm renting so I can save money. But then they upgrade their truck, upgrade their lifestyle, take on new subscriptions, inflate their spending, and invest nothing. Then 15 years, 20 years later, they wonder why homeowners pass them financially. The renter's wealth strategy requires discipline. Ownership forces discipline automatically, right? Ownership forces discipline automatically. That's the difference. The case for buying, why ownership builds wealth, well, buying real estate isn't just emotional, it's mathematical. Ownership builds wealth through four core forces. One, you've got forced savings through principal paydown. Every mortgage payment reduces your debt. Even if your house never appreciates, you still build net worth by paying what you owe. Renters do not get this automatic wealth effect, right? So then there's two. Appreciation over time. According to Federal Housing Finance Agency, U.S. homes have averaged roughly 4 to 5% annual appreciation long term, despite recessions, wars, and crashes. It's not straight upwards, but the long arc trends up. Number three is leverage. This is your secret weapon. You control a $500,000 asset with maybe $25,000 to $50,000 down, or even less in some cases. If that asset rises 5%, you didn't make 5% on your cash. You made 5% on the entire asset, and that's leverage. Number four is tax efficiency. Ownership unlocks mortgage interest deductions, depreciation on rentals, capital gains exclusions, 1031 exchanges for investors, and rent unlocks none of this. So the real long-term wealth comparison, let's talk an example people can actually picture, right? Okay, so person A, the renter, they're 30 years old, their rent is $2,100 a month. If rent increases 3% annually times 30 years, then by the time they're 60, they've paid $1.3 million, and the assets from that, zero. Now, if this person invested the difference religiously, it's a totally different story, of course, but most don't. So here's person B, the buyer. Same age, 30, home price, $450,000, down payment, 5%, same monthly starting cost, 30-year mortgage. At age 60, mortgage is paid off, home owned free and clear. At just 4% appreciation, that's now a $1.45 million asset. 2 lives, same starting costs, wildly different results. So here's, of course, with everything, the risks of buying. This is where people get wrecked. Buying is not magic. It carries serious risk. There's market volatility. Values fall sometimes. 2008 wiped out trillions of dollars in value, and anyone telling you otherwise is lying to you. So is there an income risk if your job disappears? Your mortgage still shows up. Arguably, the same could be said for rent. There's repair risks. Roofs, 12 to 25K. Septics, 15 to 40 grand. The foundation, 50K. These are not theoretical. There's a liquidity risk. You can't click sell on a house. Time to liquidation could be months, not days, even longer in certain situations. According to Forbes, the number one danger for homeowners is overbuying relative to income and reserve capital. So who does renting actually make sense for? Renting trends tend to outperform buying if you'll move within 2 to 3 years, your income is stable, you're aggressively stacking investment capital. You live in extreme price to rent markets. You want zero maintenance burden, but remember, you only win if you invest the savings. If you do not, renting slowly becomes financial quicksand. So who is buying built for? Buying dominates when you're staying 5+ years. You want cost certainty. You want inflation protection. You want forced savings. You want future rental income flexibility. According to the Federal Reserve, the median net worth of homeowners is nearly 40 times. That's 40 times higher than renter. Not double, not triple, 40 times. I mean, come on. That's the real stat behind homeownership. The psychological side nobody teaches is, renting feels safer. Buying feels scarier. Why? Renting caps responsibility. Ownership multiplies it. Renting lets you walk away. Ownership forces you to face problems, right? So most ownership forces you to mature financially. Renting allows you to delay it. For better or for worse, ownership forces you to mature financially. Renting allows you to delay it for better or for worse. A real-world renter wealth strategy that actually works. If you want to rent and still beat homeowners financially, here's the formula. Rent under your maximum budget. Track what ownership would actually cost. Automatically invest the difference every month. Never touch that account. Use tax-advantaged vehicles where possible. Stay disciplined for decades. If you do that, you can absolutely outperform ownership. If you don't, renting will quietly drain your future. So, buying is not just about living. It's about options. Owning gives you options later. Add ADUs, convert to a rental, short-term rent, refinance, leverage into more properties, sell tax efficiently, retire payment free. Renting never converts into flexibility later. It only renews. The real answer nobody wants to hear is renting is a temporary convenience strategy. Buying is a long-term wealth and retirement strategy. Neither is evil, neither is automatically right. Your age, your income stability, savings, discipline, market conditions, and long-term goals decide which one wins, not memes. Here's a final warning. The most dangerous path is this: renting long-term, not investing, inflating your lifestyle, and assuming you'll figure it out later. That's how people end up 60 years old with zero property, rising rents, no leverage, no safety net. If this breakdown helped you see this differently, hit the like button. That tells YouTube this was actually useful, and subscribe if you want more real-world real estate wealth strategy without the hype. It's not financial advice, but it's good entertainment, right? And if you want help deciding when renting still makes sense or when buying finally becomes the smarter financial move, that's literally what I do every day with clients. So reach out if you need anything, and thanks for watching. See you on the next one.